loan is repaid in one payment of 169,389 Rand and 79 cents at the end of 4 years. Now guys, ignoring this big number here, do we all agree that N is going to be 4? Right? Because it's 4 years, so we can at least see that straight away. Now, we just need to look or read the second sentence, the one that I've just read, very carefully. They're saying the loan is repaid in one payment of 169,000 Rand. So guys, is that the amount that we are taking out as a loan? Is that the amount that we're borrowing? Or is that the amount that we're paying back? Paying back. So is that the original amount or is that the final amount if we're paying that much back? That's the final amount. Okay, good. So here they have actually given us our A value. In all the other questions that we did yesterday, we had to calculate the A value, right? So we just said A equals, and we had our formula, we subbed everything in, and we worked it out. Now they've given us our A value. Okay, they're giving us the final amount. Then they're saying the interest paid on the loan was 9% per annum compounded annually, so it's compound interest. So I is going to be 9%. And they're asking us to calculate the amount of money borrowed from the bank. So which letter is that, guys? The amount of money that we have borrowed?
P.
That's our P value. Okay, so as soon as you see that borrowed or invested, that is always your P value. Okay, what did I say yesterday? What is your first step always? What is the very first thing that you write down? The formula. Good. Okay, this is compound interest. So we are going to write down the compound formula. It doesn't matter what they've given you. You always write down your formula first, because if you have the correct formula there, you will get a mark for it. Okay. Now we're going to, for our second mark, we're going to fill in all the values that they gave us. Okay. So did they give us our A value? Yes. It was 169,389.79 equals, did they give us the P value? No. So we need to leave that as P, bracket 1 plus, the interest rate is 9%, so we're going to write that as 9 over 100, and the number of years was 4. So that's N, is the number of years. What am I solving for? P. That is now the variable, the letter that I want to get on its own. Now guys, whenever we're solving an equation, right, whenever we need to solve for x, usually in this case it's a P, but whenever we need to solve for a variable, I always ask you, what am I currently doing to that variable? So there where it's standing next to that bracket, what's happening with the P and the bracket? What's being done to them? What's the relationship between the two of them? Between P and the bracket? Yes, Ethan? They're being multiplied together, right? If you have something written right next to a bracket, that means that we are multiplying those two things together. So to get rid of that bracket, because I just want the P, right? I don't want P and a whole bracket. I just want P and my answer. So to get rid of multiplying by that bracket, what is the opposite of multiplying by that bracket? Dividing by that bracket. Okay, so to get P on its own, what we are actually going to do, what is on the other side? 169,389 Rand and 79 cents, right? The number that's there on the other side. We are going to divide that number by the entire bracket. Right, this is, I'm just going to write on the side here, multiplying by this bracket, and we then are dividing by the bracket. Okay, so these two are linked. We're changing multiplying by the bracket to dividing by the same bracket. Remember, when we're solving equations, that's what we're always doing. We're changing the operation. And now you need a calculator, and you need to type that into the calculator exactly as it's written. Let's see if I have another one here. You guys can type it in so long. Guys, I'm picking up that quite a few of you don't have calculators. If you're unable to get one, you must just come tell me and I'll make a plan for you. But please, you can't think, oh, ma'am is magically going to have 12 calculators when it's time to write a test, because I don't have that many. So you need to give me fair warning, please. And you will not be able to use your phone as a calculator in a test. So please don't even try and say you're going to do that. Okay, now guys, when you get your answer here, if you've typed it into the calculator, you are going to get, now I'm first just going to write it out without the rand symbol, just so that you can see what it looks like. 119 and then 999 and then it's comma 9977. Right? That's what the whole answer looks like on the calculator. Because it's money, we're supposed to round to 2 decimals, yes? So let's look at the first 2 digits that we have there after the comma. What's after that 9? A 7. So that means I must round the 9 up. Right? Do we agree? Now if I'm rounding up 99, what do I get? 100. So what does that mean about, what must I do with the whole number in front? Am I going to leave it as 119,999 rand and what? 100 cents. What does that mean? Yes. 120,000 rand. You actually need to round this whole number up to the next rand because it's comma 997 cents. Okay, and that often happens in these types of questions. So if you're rounding up and it's, yeah, you actually have to round up the whole number, not just the cents. If it was a 987, then you would turn it into comma 99, right? But because it's a 997, you must round the whole rand up as well. Okay, any questions on that one? Solving for P. Right, let's quickly look at number 7. I'm just quickly going to copy it across. Just give me a second. Right, for number 7, the question is saying, Sam inherits money and wants to buy a house in 4 years' time. What is that for? What letter is that? N. So he has to accumulate 100,000 rand for a deposit on the house. Guys, when is he going to buy this house?
4 years.
In 4 years' time. So does he need 100,000 rand now or in 4 years' time?
4 years.
In 4 years' time, right? How much money must he invest from his inheritance if the interest paid on the investment is 8% compound? So what's actually happening here? What is the 100,000 rand? Is this the original amount or is this the final amount that he's going to get after investing money for 4 years? It's the final amount, right? So again, just like in the previous question, they have given us the A value, the final amount. He doesn't have 100,000 rand now. He wants to have 100,000 rand in 4 years' time. Okay, so it's the final amount. It's the A value. The interest is 8%, so that is our I value. And what are they asking for? How much money must he invest? The amount invested, that is the P value. So he currently has money that he wants to put in the account so that after 4 years he has 100,000 rand. They are asking us how much money must he put in that account now. Okay, so this is very similar. It's basically the same as the previous question. They've given us our A value. We need to find our P value. Okay, so by looking at the previous example, guys, use it as a guide. Please calculate this answer now. Solve for P for this question. Follow the exact same steps. Formula, subbing in, solve for P. Yes. Yeah, it's the same thing. Okay. Let's see what that answer is there. Okay, so 3 marks here, guys. Give yourself a mark if you got the right formula. Then you get a mark if you substitute it correctly into the formula. So that means you put down that A is 100,000, I is 8 of 100, and N is 4. Okay, so for this second line, you can get your second mark. Now guys, if you get stuck there and you don't know how to get P on its own, you already have 2 marks. Okay, so please don't just leave these questions blank. Write down the formula and sub in the values that were given. Again, I have multiplied P and the bracket, right? So the opposite of multiplying by that bracket is dividing by the bracket. So that is why I'm now taking 100,000, which is the amount on the other side, and I am dividing it by that bracket. Now when you type this into the calculator, you get, as your decimals here, it was actually 985. Right? So 5 is the third digit, so I need to round up the 8 that's in front of it. This one here. So that's why in my final answer I have a 9 there as that last digit.